Hi, my name is George. I am an educational assistant for Math 050 at Delaware County Community College. The purpose of this video is to help you better understand math concepts covered in Module 1. If you have been struggling to understand the material and are having difficulty passing the practice test or even the post-test, my hope is that this video will help you. Your recall of the multiplication facts is critical for doing well on the post-test and in this course. In this video, we will not discuss how to improve your recall of the multiplication facts. Additionally, you should know how to determine place value. Math competencies are skills that must be mastered. Competencies for Module 1 are listed below and are based on objectives from e-text in MyLab Math. You must be proficient with these competencies to pass the Module 1 post-test. Here is a multiplication facts table you can use to brush up on your multiplication facts. And you should also know the place values shown on the place value chart. If needed, return to this video after learning these competencies. Be sure to write down the question number next to the problem you are working on. That way your professor can quickly find your written work. Also, you must show all intermediate steps when completing a problem to receive full credit. Use my own written work as a guide for the work you must show. So let's begin the practice test. Question 1. The instructions ask, what does the digit 2 mean in the number? So here we have the digit 2. So they want to know what the place value is of the digit 2. So we start from the right and we count ones, tens, hundreds, 1000s. So the digit 2 is in the 1000s slot. So we choose thousands right here. When they say thousands, it really means the 1000s. So we choose that. Question 2. Here are the instructions. Write the whole number in standard notation. 267,932. So standard notation means writing this word name as a number. So the best way to do it is to do it in chunks. And the chunks are separated by the comma. All right, so let's do this chunk first. 267,000. So let's write that down. 267,000, comma. We need the commas in standard notation. And then the last chunk is this, 932. 932. Now, it also helps if you verbalize this, because if you hear yourself say it, then the numbers make more sense. So let's type that in there. And we need the comma right there. Question 3. They want us to add 1,509 to 4,547. When we're doing addition, we always start with the rightmost digits, the ones column. So 9 plus 7 is 16. And we can only fit one digit in each column. So 9 plus 7 is 16. So what you're going to do is put the right-hand digit here and then carry the left-hand digit over the next column. 9 plus 7 is 16. Then you're going to add up this column here, the tens place value. 1 plus 0 is still 1. 1 plus 4 is 5. Now, we don't need to carry anything because our result here is just one digit. Now we come over to this column, the hundreds. 5 plus 5 is 10. It's a two-digit answer, so the right-hand digit goes here. The left-hand digit goes over the next column. We're going to add it to everything else. So we have 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 4 is 6. So in this kind of a problem where we're not doing standard notation, the comma is optional. So you could put a comma here, or you don't have to put a comma there. But if you do put a comma somewhere, it must be in the appropriate spot, or else it would be marked wrong. So let's type that in there. And let's not use a comma. Question 4, 393 minus 235. Now, originally, we were given this problem in a horizontal format. So what you got to do is the leftmost number goes on top, and then the rightmost number goes on the bottom. So you want to change this horizontal format into a vertical format, and then you can subtract. So just like addition, we always start subtraction with the rightmost digits, the ones digit. Now, the top number has to be the same or bigger than the bottom number in order to subtract. If it is not, we have to do what's called borrowing. In fact, we have to do it right here. So here we have 3 minus 5. Well, we cannot take 5 from 3. So 3 has to become bigger. How do we do that? We have to borrow from the next digit to the left. So we come to the 9, we slash the 9 out, and we borrow 1. So after we borrow 1, the 9 becomes an 8. The 1 that we borrowed from the 9 goes in front of the 3 and makes it a 13, like this. Or you can do it like this. Either format is fine. So the 1 that we borrowed goes in front of the 3, and this becomes a 13. See, now the 13 is bigger than 5, so we can actually subtract. So here we go. 13 minus 5, that's 8. Now notice here that the 8 is bigger than 3, so we don't have to borrow. So that's a common mistake. Do not borrow unless you need to. So we have 8 minus 3, that's 5. 3 minus 2 is 1. So our answer is 158. Question 5, 5,200 minus 582. And again, we're going to start subtracting from the rightmost digits. And here we go. 0 minus 2. Well, we cannot do that because 0 is too small for 2. So we have to borrow by going to the next digit to the left. However, the next digit to the left is 0. So we cannot borrow from 0. It has nothing to give. So we simply keep going down to the next non-zero digit, and here it is. So we have a 2 here. We can borrow from the 2. So slash the 2 out. 2 becomes a 1 since we're borrowing from the 2. The 1 that we borrow from the 2 temporarily goes in front of this 0 and makes it a 10 temporarily. See, now because this is a 10, we can borrow from the 10. So the 10 becomes a 9. And then the 1 that we borrowed here goes in front of this 0, and this becomes a 10. Now, this stays as a 10. Don't slash it and make it a 9. It's a common mistake. And the reason is because we don't have to borrow. There are no more numbers to the right of this digit. So it's going to stay as a 10. Now we can actually subtract. 10 minus 2 is 8. 9 minus 8. So again, don't borrow unless you need to. And in this case, we do not need to. 9 minus 8 is 1. Here we have 1 minus 5. Well, we cannot do this, correct? Because this is too small for 5. So we got to go to the digit to the left, borrow. The 5 becomes a 4. The 1 that we borrow from here goes in front of this 1, and this becomes an 11 now, 11. So 11 minus 5 is 6. And then we have 4 minus nothing is still 4. So this is our answer, 4,618. And again, optional to use a comma, but if you use it, it must be done correctly. I'll skip using it. Question 6, 677 times 56. The way we handle these multi-digit multiplication problems is that we start with the bottom right digit. So what we do is we say 6 times 7, and then 6 times 7, and then 6 times 6, and start our answer down here. After that, we say 5 times 7, and then 5 times 7, and then 5 times 6, and we write our answer below that. All right, so here we go. 6 times 7 is 42. So we can only fit one digit in each column. So the right-hand digit goes here, carry the left-hand digit over to the next column. So 6 times 7 is 42, right-hand digit, left-hand digit. Then we say 6 times 7 again. 6 times 7, as we just said, is 42. 42 plus 4 is 46. Right-hand digit, left-hand digit. Then we say 6 times 6, which is 36. 36 plus 4 is 40. Right-hand digit, left-hand digit. Notice how each column is perfectly straight up and down and vertical. I recommend you definitely do that. That way everything stays in line. Now, we just finished with the 6. And let's cross don't erase these, keep these, but let's cross these out like that. So that way we don't get mixed up when we multiply with the 5. So it's going to be 5 times 7. 5 times 7 is 35. Right-hand digit goes underneath the 5 right here. Right-hand digit, left-hand digit right there. Okay, so 5 times 7 is 35, right-hand digit, left-hand digit. 5 times 7 is 35, we just said, plus 3 is 38. Right-hand digit, left-hand digit, over the next column. Then we multiply 5 times 6. 5 times 6 is 30. 30 plus 3 is 33. Right-hand digit, left-hand digit. Now, we just finished multiplying, but we have to add these numbers. We have to add them to get the total. Okay, so this is just normal addition. 2 plus nothing is 2. 6 plus 5 is 11. Right-hand digit, left-hand digits. 1 plus 0 is 1. 1 plus 8 is 9. 4 plus 3 is 7. Nothing plus 3 is still 3. So that's our answer, 37,912. Now, notice that, and by the way, you can put a placeholder 0 here if you like. You can leave this blank, or if you want to put a placeholder here, 0, you can. I usually show that as a dotted 0, so that way I don't get mixed up thinking I got the 0 from the actual multiplication. So this tells me, oh, it's a placeholder 0. Or you can leave it blank, either way. Now notice how the numbers began underneath the number you multiplied by. So for example, here we multiply by 6, and notice how the answer started right below the 6. Here we multiply by the 5, and the answer to that started right below the 5. You must do that. You must shift over, as we just did here, in order to get the appropriate total. All right, so let's type that in there and see what we get. Let's use a comma this time, 37,912. Question 7. It's a division problem. Down here, notice how the weight's set up. It's 832 divided by 8. However, we want to change this format into a long division format. So basically what you got to do is just swap the order of these two numbers, see that? And then put this left number, which is the dividend, in the box. So this is like a little box here. It's a little box. So this left hand number goes in the box. And then this is the divisor that goes on the outside. So switch this format into long division. Now, the first time you divide into the box. All right. So we always look to see, can this number divide or fit into the first number? And in this case, yeah, it can. 8 can fit into 8 one time. So 8 divides into 8 one time. You put that 1 right over the 8. So then what you do next is you multiply. You multiply this number you put up here, the quotient, with the divisor. 1 times 8 is 8. Put that 8 right below this one. When you have two numbers over each other, you subtract. So 8 minus 8 is 0. You can put a 0 here or leave it blank. It doesn't really matter. Let's put a 0 here. 0 or blank means the same thing. Then what you do is you bring down the next digits. Only the next digits. And then you ask yourself, can 8 divide into 3? See, now we start dividing downwards. Notice that? We're going to start dividing downwards. No longer in the box. We only go in the box the first time. Can 8 divide into 3? Can 8 fit into 3? The answer is no. 3 is too small. So we put a 0 here because 8 cannot divide into 3. Then we bring down the next digit, 2. So this number here now is 32. And again, we divide downwards. We ask the question, can 8 divide into 32? So what we're looking to do is we want to see how close we can get to 32 without going over. That's how we do division. We want to get as close as we can without going over. And if we get lucky, we might get exactly that number. So another way to ask this question is, what number times 8 is 32? And that is 4, right? Right out of the multiplication table, and you should know that. So 8 divides into 32 4 times. Once you put a number up here, you got to multiply. 4 times 8 is 32. When you have two numbers over each other, you're going to subtract. 32 minus 32 is 0. So this is called the remainder. R, remainder is 0. This is the quotient, and that's the remainder. 8 divides into 832 exactly 104 times with nothing left over. Now notice here again how I kept everything nice and vertical. See that? Everything is lined up. And I recommend you do the same thing. That way your numbers line up and make sense when you subtract them and bring them down. Okay, now the way they want us to type this in here is that if you have a remainder of 0, then we have to choose B, okay, because we have a remainder of 0. So the answer that they're talking about is the quotient right here, 104, 104. Question 8. Here they want us to round to the nearest 1,000. So 3,309, they want us to round to the nearest 1,000. Now notice how they don't tell you that it's the 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000. So if they don't tell you which one it is, it's assumed to be the 1,000. So we're looking for the 1,000 place value. We start from the right. This is the ones, tens, hundreds, 1,000. So I recommend you underline the digit they want you to round to. What you do next is you look to the immediate right. Right here, you look to the digit to the immediate right. And if this digit here is between 0 and 4, we keep the underlying digit. If this digit here is 5 to 9, in that range, then we add 1 to the underlying digit. All right? So since this digit here falls between 0 and 4, we keep the underlying digit. So what we do is we just simply take this, keep it, bring it down. We bring it down. We kept it. All digits to the right of the underline will come down as zeros. Okay, so this 3 becomes 0, this 0 stays as 0, this becomes 0. So 3,309 is closer to 3,000 than it is to 4,000. It's another way of looking at it. So let's type in 3,000. Question 9. Estimate the product by rounding to the nearest 100. Okay, so what we have to do here is that we have to round first, then multiply. So this is a common mistake. Do not multiply first and then round the answer. No, you have to round first and then multiply that. So first we got to round. Round to where? Well, the nearest 100. So let's round and put our answer, a rounded answer here. Now, it's going to be the same format as the last problem. So we have the ones, tens, hundreds. Underline the digit you're going to round to. That's the hundreds. That's what they're asking for. You're going to look at the digit to the immediate right. We don't care about further down. Since this digit here falls between 5 and 9, we're going to add 1 to the 6. Okay, so the 6 becomes a 7. All digits to the right of the underline convert to 0. So 659 rounds to 700. Let's do the same thing down here. Ones, tens, hundreds. We look at the digit to the immediate right. This 3 falls between 0 and 4, which means we keep this 4. We don't round up, we keep. Okay, so this 4 stays the same. All digits to the right of the underline convert to 0. So 431 rounds to 400. Now this is what you should multiply right here. Not that. Now there's a couple of ways to do this. One is the long way, and the long way is to multiply all the digits here, including by 0. However, we know that 0 times anything is 0, so let's use the quick way to multiply. And the quick way to multiply when you have zeros to the right of numbers like this, when the numbers end in 0, all you have to do is count the number of zeros that there are to the right of both numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 zeros to the right of the numbers. We can just simply bring them down. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm running out of space here, so don't get confused with this, okay? Now, so these 4 zeros are these 4 zeros. We can do that because 0 times anything is 0. All you have to do now is multiply the non-zero digits. So 4 times 7 is 28. And you put that right on the same row. All right, so 700 times 400 is 280,000. That's how it's done. Round first, then multiply. So let's put a comma in here so we don't get mixed up with the zeros. 280, comma, 000. All right, so we finished our last question. Let's see how we did. Okay, very good. As you saw, mastery of the multiplication facts is a must. You need to know the place value of digits. Place value is also used in rounding. For estimating, remember to round first and then perform the arithmetic operation. For our problem, it was multiplication. Finally, remember to do these two things. One, write down the question number next to the problem you're working on. Two, show all steps in your written work. To do well on your post-test, you must be able to pass the practice test without using notes, without using a calculator, without any help, and without referencing this video as you take the test. If you still have questions about a math concept, ask your instructor or an educational assistant for further explanation. That completes our walkthrough review of the Module 1 practice test. Thanks for watching. Now it's your turn.